The Detroit Lions' 2025 season ended in heartbreak, with a crushing 45-31 loss to the Washington Commanders in the Divisional Round. For a team that seemed poised to finally break through to a Super Bowl appearance, the loss was a bitter pill to swallow, especially given their numerous injuries and a performance that left fans frustrated. But as the team looks to rebuild after another playoff disappointment, several key areas of focus will be critical for the Lions to remain competitive in 2025. 1. Building around key players in 2025. Despite the heartbreaking loss, the Lions have a solid foundation. Quarterback Jared Goff, who has seen a resurgence under offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, is returning with a chip on his shoulder. The receiving core, led by Amon-Ra Brown and Jameson Williams, along with Sam Laporta at tight end, will continue to support Goff's passing game. The backfield duo of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs offers a potent running attack. Furthermore, the offensive line, one of the NFL's most versatile units, will remain intact, providing stability up front. On the defensive side, the return of key players like Hutchinson, McNeill, Brian Branch, and Kerby Joseph will bolster a defense that had significant injury challenges in 2024. If these players can stay healthy, the Lions should see improvements on that side of the ball, especially with their front seven. 2. Offseason priority: retaining or replacing key coaches. One of the biggest off-field challenges for the Lions will be retaining their top two assistant coaches. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Both have been crucial to the team's success and are potential head coach candidates for other teams. If the Lions lose either coach, they will need to act swiftly to fill their vacancies, potentially promoting from within, with options like Tanner Engstrand, offensive coordinator, or Kelvin Shepard, defensive coordinator, as internal candidates. Stability in the coaching staff will be vital for Detroit's continued growth. 3. Addressing the secondary. While the Lions' secondary showed promise with players like Brian Branch, Kerby Joseph, and rookie Terrion Arnold, the unit still has gaps. Cornerback Carlton Davis is headed to free agency, and depth behind him is thin. The Lions will need to invest in veteran help or draft picks to shore up this area. Possible free agent acquisitions like Dante Jackson or even Stephon Gilmore could add experience and leadership to a secondary that could be one piece away from greatness. 4. Addressing the demons of the past. The most intangible challenge the Lions face may be their history. For decades, the franchise has been plagued by misfortune and heartbreaking losses, and 2025 felt like just another chapter in that cursed narrative. The team will need to overcome the psychological hurdles that come with being a perennially unlucky franchise. For this, a renewed focus on team culture, leadership, and mental toughness will be paramount to breaking the cycle and finally reaching the heights that the Lions roster is capable of. 5. Cap space and draft strategy. With $57.5 million in cap space, the Lions are well positioned to make strategic moves to address any gaps. The 28th pick in the draft gives them an opportunity to select the best player available. Whether it's a cornerback, defensive lineman, or another position of need. With minimal free agent losses expected, the Lions have the financial flexibility to either retain key players or add depth to areas that were exposed by injuries in 2024. Conclusion: the Lions' 2025 season ended in disappointment, but the team's future remains bright. They have a talented roster, significant cap space, and a strong coaching staff. For now, to take the next step, they will need to stay healthy, address key positions like the secondary, and possibly face the loss of one or both of their rising stars in the coaching ranks. If they can overcome these challenges, the Lions will have a strong chance of being a legitimate Super Bowl contender in 2025 and beyond. Dan Campbell's tearful reaction to Lions' heartbreaking loss: "It just hurts to lose. Man." After the Detroit Lions' heartbreaking loss to the Washington Commanders on Saturday night, which eliminated them from the playoffs despite being the NFC's #1 seed. A visibly emotional Dan Campbell spoke to the media, offering a raw and candid reflection on the defeat. Campbell, known for his fiery speeches and colorful language, struggled to find the right words to express the depth of his frustration and pain. With tears in his eyes, he summed up the crushing loss with a simple, powerful 6-word statement: "It just hurts to lose. Man." The Lions head coach continued to speak about the sting of the loss, emphasizing that no matter the seed or expectations, losing is never easy. The pain of falling short was evident in Campbell's demeanor, as he fought to compose himself and communicate the impact the loss had on both him and his team. It was a moment of vulnerability for the coach, who typically exudes confidence and passion. But in that moment, the weight of the defeat spoke volumes. Dan Campbell's emotional response to Lions' playoff collapse. The Detroit Lions' playoff run came to a bitter end in a stunning defeat to the Washington Commanders, with Jared Goff's struggles at quarterback being a central factor in the loss. The Lions, fresh off an impressive 15-2 regular season and entering the postseason with high hopes, were undone by Goff's 4 turnovers, including 3 interceptions and a fumble, in a game they couldn't afford to lose. Goff, who had been a steady leader for the Lions throughout the season, was plagued by mistakes at key moments. His first-half performance was particularly disastrous, as he threw a pick six, made a costly late pass to an open Jameson Williams that was intercepted, and held the ball too long, leading to a strip sack that wasted a prime red zone opportunity. Ultimately, Detroit's offense couldn't recover from these mistakes, and despite strong contributions from the talented supporting cast, Goff's errors were too much for the Lions to overcome. The weight of the loss on Goff. After the game, Goff took full responsibility for the defeat, expressing regret and acknowledging that his play could have been better. "Had I played better, do we win? Possibly," Goff said, "and that's the part that will eat me alive this offseason." His candid self-criticism highlighted the weight of the loss on him personally, and his desire to improve and avoid repeating mistakes was evident in his emotional post-game remarks. Head coach Dan Campbell was similarly devastated, emotionally choking up as he reflected on the team's effort and how the players had put everything into the season. Despite his heartfelt words and the team's injuries on defense, Campbell couldn't escape the fact that Goff's turnovers were a primary reason for their elimination. Is Jared Goff's playoff ceiling too low? The loss left fans and analysts questioning whether Jared Goff is the quarterback capable of leading the Lions to a Super Bowl. Despite his strong regular season performance, Goff's inability to play mistake-free football in the postseason has raised concerns about whether he can elevate his game in high-pressure situations. Goff's previous experience in the playoffs, leading the Los Angeles Rams to a Super Bowl, only to come up short in a disappointing 3-point loss, has fueled doubts about his ability to carry a team to a title. While Goff's supporting cast is filled with playmakers, including Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta, the turnovers and inability to execute in key moments are significant red flags. His costly mistakes against Washington, especially the pick six and his failure to hit an open receiver in time for a potential touchdown, were glaring reminders that he can't afford to be the weak link in the offense. Looking ahead, despite these concerns, it's clear that Goff's future with the Lions is still promising. He's been part of a culture shift in Detroit, helping the team return to respectability after years of underachievement. His play during the regular season proved that he can be a capable quarterback. But questions remain about whether he can rise to the occasion when the stakes are highest. As the Lions prepare for another playoff run next season, with a fully healthy defense and a potential for even more offensive talent, the key question remains: can Goff take his game to the next level when it matters most? Head coach Dan Campbell acknowledged that improvement is needed across the board, including from Goff, if the team hopes to compete for a championship. For Goff, the offseason will be a time of reflection, growth, and the need for personal improvement. The humbling defeat will undoubtedly fuel his drive to become a better quarterback. But whether it will be enough to carry the Lions to their first Super Bowl remains to be seen. The hard truth for Detroit is that even with all their talent, they may not be able to reach their full potential with Goff playing at this level when it counts the most.